Welcome back, and joining me for a closer look of the day's trading session is Viv Govender from Rand Swiss. Thank you so much for your time. Viv, it is the 9th of July, of course, the initial date that had been penciled in for the tariff pause deadline. Of course, you know that has been extended. But any new and specific news to digest on the tariff front today?
Yeah, look, Trump has come out with some pretty hectic tariffs, not just against South Africa, but much of the world. It seems at the moment that it's not something we can be doing much about. The only hope we have with regards to tariffs is what's called the taco trade, which is Trump always chickens out. He's bringing things like massive tariffs and things like copper imports into the U.S. These are things that I think longer term are going to be harmful to the U.S. economy. A lot of the stuff we sell to the U.S. is actually, things that they're not going to be producing themselves locally. So I do think that, this is just a one-side driven thing. Trump's deciding to basically push the tariff story at the moment. But the only good thing is that, historically, he tends to pull back before, too much harm is being done. Whether or not this is going to be the case, or whether or not his anger at being at the taco label is basically going to rear its ugly head, we don't know yet. But I think at the moment, history shows that you probably safer just assuming he's going to pull back on these most significant tariffs.
Very good news for NVIDIA shareholders. NVIDIA is flying high and leading the pack, the first company ever to reach a $4 trillion market cap. Is NVIDIA showing defensiveness even with all the risk that has been posed by the geopolitical environment? Of course, an environment that does threaten other companies and sectors.
Yeah, look, I think that NVIDIA story is the AI story, and AI still remains a very strong story at the moment. I mean, we just saw news a few weeks ago that Meta, Facebook, is basically offering engineers who are working at other companies, if they hire enough, $100 million signing bonus, plus another $100 million yearly salary, and plus a $300 million bonus structure per year. That's $500 million in a year. I mean, you can't think of a single athlete, not Ronaldo, not a Messi, not a LeBron James, Michael Jordan, that makes $500 million a year.
Sure.
This is unbelievable pay salaries. I mean, no actor makes that kind of money. The people that get these kind of monies are usually people that own the businesses or control the business, not somebody you're hiring to do a job. So yeah, this is an incredible hype around it at the moment. We're seeing, I think, Grok 4 launching at the moment. Despite, I don't know if anyone watched, Mecca somebody, which was calling itself yesterday. I won't say it on air. But the hype around AI remains pretty strong. And as long as it's strong, the demand for NVIDIA chips is going to be quite strong. And this is a case of, gold rush. You don't buy the gold mine, you buy the guy that sells the shovels. And this is what NVIDIA does. It sells the shovels in the middle of what probably is the largest, capital rush, or capital, I won't say bubble, but a capital rush in history.
All right. Well, talking about hype, we saw a lot of hype on Italtile today. That share surging about 5%. Interestingly, that was actually one of our Stock Watch guests' stock pick yesterday. No news on SENS, and I'm wondering what's driving that investor appetite on the stock.
Yeah, look, I mean, Italtile basically down 24% year to date, down, the last 6 months, 20+%. It's a share that's come significantly off its highs recently, and I mean, even from where it was basically in December, like I said, it's a third down.
Yeah.
Despite this recovery happening.
Yeah.
So I would think that it's a case where it's a very volatile company at the moment. Coming off a very long, very very sharp pullback. So I wouldn't read too much into even a surprise move like that, or move higher today. It's just too it's volatile for a small move like a few percent to make a big difference, even if it's 5%.
Yeah. All right. Well, another stock that actually surged today about 4% is Supergroup. And I actually saw that the ratings agency S&P affirmed its national scale ratings. What was interesting is the detail that went into, because this is mainly after the disposal of their SG Fleet company in Australia. There were lots of pros and cons that S&P cited there, but I mean, honestly, when I was reading, it seemed there were a lot of cons, but actually we did see that share climbing today. What did you interpret about what S&P had to say on Supergroup after that disposal?
Yeah, look, I mean, I do think Julius, a company like this here, it is, Julius, a very volatile company. We've seen it rally quite sharply in the last, year or so.
Yeah.
But it was, a reason like pullback, of course, occurred, but they rallied quite sharply in the last year or so. It's a very volatile company, dependent on, Julius, what's happening in the overall economy. I do think that, Julius, really again, too much into this particular event would be quite I think, courageous. But that being said, Julius, I think the overall economic impact, Julius, of things like, like you said, the fleet takeover, etc. You could read a lot into that, but I don't want to put in too much emphasis on a short, small move in the day, like especially since you can see the massive moves it's had over the last little while.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, a lot of people were actually quite split on whether the disposal of SG Fleet was actually good for the company or not. But I guess we will see in their next results. Okay, Viv, what is your stock pick for today?
Look, I mean, if you are going to be playing this AI hype here, the one company I think that it's probably the best suited going forward is probably Alphabet/Google. It is everything that you want for the AI thing, other than the NVIDIA chips, which actually, in sort of way, they are actually making these TPUs, transformer processing units. So they even come into play in that particular thing. They have the self-driving, ability of a Tesla. They have the AI, actual fundamental business of a OpenAI. They have the Meta/Facebook's exposure to things like ads, where they can translate their own AI into their own profitability. And they also have add-on things like, for instance, YouTube, which is like probably in many ways objectively more valuable than Netflix. So I think if you're looking to play AI, you're not looking to play directly through a company like NVIDIA. Alphabet/Google is probably the best way to do it. And beyond that, they also have the cloud, and that means that if somebody else wants to do AI, inference and so on, they would benefit just from that alone.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your insights on what has moved investors' money today, Viv. Much appreciated. That was Rand Swiss's Viv Govender.